Every day, billions of dollars and other currencies are exchanged one for the other. There's typically an exchange rate for them. For instance, yesterday, November 26th, the British pound went for $1.55. So it took $1.55 US cents to buy 1 British pound. Or looking at it the other way around, it took 65.65 British pounds, 0.65 British pounds to buy 1 US dollar. It's easiest to think about these exchange rates as markets. So let's look at a typical demand and supply curve for a currency, in this case the US dollar. Over on the left we have our vertical line, which is typically our price line for a demand and supply curve, and in this case the price is between British pounds and US dollars, and so the price is how many British pounds does it take to buy 1 US dollar, and then quantity along the horizontal axis like any demand and supply curve. There is a demand for the US dollar that goes down, as you see here, just like any other demand curve. As the price changes, the demand for dollars in this case changes. As there is also a supply curve as well that responds to changes in price. A higher price would generate more supply of dollars in the exchange market. When there is a equilibrium between demand and supply, then we find a exchange rate that settles for the day. Actually, this exchange rate goes up and down throughout the day, but financial newspapers and websites typically report a closing exchange rate. For the Friday after Thanksgiving, the exchange rate was 0.65 pounds, a little over 1/2 of a British pound, to buy 1 US dollar. Now, what are some of the things that determine the exchange rate? And one of the key parts of the exchange rate, of course, is trade. So we're going to use just a simple example here to demonstrate how the sale of goods or exports from one country to another can influence the value of a currency. Let's say that the Rogue Valley Creamery, located in Central Point, Oregon, sells its world-famous blue cheese, in this case Crater Lake blue cheese, to a cheese shop in Edinburgh, Scotland. So the cheese gets shipped to the shop in Scotland, where they'll sell it to their discriminating customers. Now that little shop in Scotland needs to pay for that cheese, but the only money they have is British pounds, and so that little shop will then pay British pounds for the cheese. However, the Rogue Valley Creamery back here in Oregon has no use for British pounds. They need to pay their dairy suppliers and their workers and so on in US dollars. So pounds aren't much use to them. So what happens is that somewhere between Edinburgh and Central Point, those pounds that the Edinburgh cheese shop paid need to get converted into dollars. And that will take place in a foreign exchange bank. Now this bank could be located in London or New York or San Francisco. I've got it out here in the South Atlantic just to pull it apart. But nonetheless, there will be a bank that will take these pounds coming in and exchange them for dollars. As far as Rogue Valley Creamery is concerned, that completes the transaction. They receive dollars and all is well. This bank, however, in order to complete this transaction, needs to find a reserve of dollars in order to make this conversion work. Pounds are coming into the bank, so they've got plenty of pounds, but in order to convert those pounds into dollars, that bank is going to need to dip into their reserves of dollars and or acquire dollars someplace else. So this act of exporting cheese from the United States, from Oregon, over to Great Britain and Edinburgh, Scotland, starts a process that increases the demand for US dollars. As the note says at the top, overseas demand for Rogue Valley Creamery's Crater Lake blue cheese increases the demand for US dollars, causing their value to rise. In our second clip, we'll look at a little bit more carefully the things that influence both the supply and demand of dollars.